Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Then check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something to inspire you. That's deal2healteas.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to deal2healteas.com. Again, that's deal2healteas.com. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Girl Dad Discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe the relationship between a daughter and her father is one of the most important relationships a young lady can have. And therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by sharing the voices of girl dads to the world. So check out our podcast on every platform where podcasts can be listened to. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel. Again, that's the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with your host, Ernest James. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Ernest James, and I believe everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Make sure that you guys are checking us out on our new YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Again, that's the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, where you will find not only the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, but you will also find our sister podcast, which is the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, where we talk about the relationship, the daddy-daughter relationship, in order to combat the narrative of the absent father and the fatherless daughter. So, we have fathers on, girl dads on, and sometimes we even have daughters on to talk about that relationship of the dad, father, and the daughter. So make sure that you guys, again, check us out on our new YouTube channel at the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Also, as you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast, and the way that we stay on the air is by bringing you amazing products for you to purchase. And so, our product of the week is our Start Your Podcast Now ebook. If you have ever thought about starting your own podcast, you might want to get this ebook. I wrote it down very simple. Start Your Podcast Now in only 3 steps. People kept asking me, how do you start a podcast? And so I made it really simple. I give you all the tips, all the tools in this ebook to where you can get started now. You can have your podcast up and running in just 1 day in only 3 steps. So if you ever thought about starting your own podcast, get your copy of the Start Your Podcast Now ebook at ebooksbyejames.com. Again, that's ebooksbyejames.com. Make sure you guys go there and check us out and support us. But today, just like any other day, we are blessed with a guest, Mr. Noberto. How are you doing today?
Hey, Ernest, I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. First of all, let me say thank you for being here, because you could have been doing anything else for anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and so I definitely appreciate it. And so, Noberto, we're going to jump right into this thing. So do me a favor, introduce yourself to my audience. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Awesomeness. So I am a young adult from the Bronx in New York. So I am a public speaking coach. I am a performance teacher, and my whole thing is really being able to unleash people's voice, their creativity, and their potential, so that they can be champions. I've been crafting and working with champions from like the introverted, scared, like child in the corner, to like making those kids like national champions and national finalists around the country. They've been on TV. I've been able to give them scholarships. They've been able to get millions of scholarships to a lot of universities around America. And to now being able to pivot into speaking and coaching and consulting full time is my thing. So it's just been beautiful to see everything happen.
All right, all right. So let's go back even into your own story, because I'm sure as a speaker, one of the things that we definitely have is our story kind of leads us into the work that we do, right? And so going back to the early, or should I say not the early, but the young Noberto, tell us a little bit about your background and your growing up, that and the experiences that kind of led you to do the work that you do now.
Well, it's funny you say that because I joined middle school, and that was back when middle school was like in fifth grade. I mean, I know you're in Chicago, so I don't know the differences, but in New York, usually middle school was sixth to eighth. Right now, it used to be fifth. I joined fifth grade, and I was an introverted, shy kid to myself. I I, I was thinking I'm gonna lay low, get through middle and high school, and I'm gonna be fine. But we both know in our line of work that's not how this works. So I'm there just going about it. And this teacher, she came to me, and all she knew was that like I used to like be a part of like the choir in elementary school. So she knew I could sing. That was really all that she knew. So she approached me. This is the theater teacher, and she asked, "Would you like to be in the musical?" And I'm like, what is that? I have no idea what this is. And she's like, it's where you can act and sing. I'm my brain's gonna blow up. I'm like, you can do both? I don't want to. And she's like, well, just audition. And in my head, I'm like, well, as like 10-year-old me, I don't say no to adults. I mean, I'm sure I'll do this. I'm gonna suck and leave. So I auditioned and I left. And then I checked the callback list and like the cast list of who's going to be in the play. This is a musical called Once on This Island, the first musical they were doing. But this school is 5th to 12th grade, so everyone's considered. So I'm thinking you're going to have 11th and 12th graders in this. I'm not going to compete with them on a high level. I'm probably going to be a tree. So I'm looking through the tree roles. I'm like, okay, I'm not a tree. So I didn't cut it. I was not at the caliber of a tree. So I'm like, I'm just going to go home. So I went home, and she called my mother, and she's just like, hey, Miss Troncoso, I wonder why is Noberto not at like rehearsal? We missed him today. So my mom, only really knowing Spanish, but she understood what she was getting at, just put the phone on me. And I'm like, ma'am, like, miss, with all due respect, I'm not a tree. Like I'm just so I'm not gonna be there. And she's like, no, but you're agua. And I'm thinking, agua, because that's Spanish for water. I'm like, my teacher, she's trying to Spanish. I don't know. But I'm like, what the heck is agua? So she says agua. I looked it up. Agua was one of the four gods in the musical, essentially a lead role. So I had a moment. I'm like, are you insane? You cast me as one of the leads? Not only that, Ernest, I am the only middle school lead in the entire show. Like it was literally 12, 12, 12, 11, 12, me, 12, 12. Like it was like, what are you doing? And I'm thinking, okay, how can I quit without like upsetting her? Because I'm like, I'm not gonna do this. Like on stage in front of Pete, nope. So I chickened out of quitting. I chickened out of chickened out. So I literally was like, all right, let me just lay low, see what can happen. But the problem is, it's like in every rehearsal, in every practice, in every moment, she would not give up on trying to get me to just open up and try things. So despite the fact I'm like this introverted like kid in a shell, like the musical went well. It was really nice. A lot of people were just like loving this across the board. And I told her this was such a fun experience. I'm going to do this for the rest of my, career at the school. And the problem about this, or this is like, if I give somebody my word, I'm going to do it. Like, that's why when, when Chris was telling me about the Chicago meet, I was like, I'm going to do my best to get there. If I can't, I can't. But, God will just orchestrate things and it'll just pop off. So I'm not even, I was like, okay. Um, was broken blessed on that weekend. But I think all that was a good catalyst for me because as I moved on through middle school and high school and I was doing shows and I ended up being a part of my speech and debate team, the same thing. I don't want to do this. This is just like very weird. And also I'm in front of people. I don't know what that's going to be. And what the heck am I going to do? But soon enough, it became something where I became the guy in theater when it came to like that. Like I became like, if there was any theater or music happening at the school, Noberto, like you that go to, even as a high schooler. And with speech and debate, I became like the captain of the team. Like when it came to earning on public speaking and performance. So literally all of this was like, okay, I was made for this, I guess. But like 8 years ago, I would have never I would have never pegged that for me. So I'm here like, okay, fine. This graduates. I'm like, I'm going to college, whatever. But like, I'm not going to be an educator. Like, I'm great. This is a good experience, and I'm gonna. People told me I'm good at business and finances and logistics. Great. I'd have no interest in being an educator. And I realized like I would work part time to like give back to my school. So like, anytime the kids needed stuff with speech and debate, we'd work, I'd coach. Like I just did that a lot over like, 10 years. And it was funny because like every time I tried to like move away from it, like I just did it for college, but then I was like, I don't need to stay here. But these kids wouldn't leave me alone. Like they would not let me go. And I'm like, guys, I am not the guy. Like there's so many other qualified people. And the problem is that a lot of these kids, they're like, no, but you're my person. And I'm like, I don't know how to respond to that. And then in 2018, like I started getting migraines, headaches. It was weird to me, weird to everybody because Nberto doesn't get headaches no matter what, and he does pretty stressful things to somebody that doesn't get paid for it. But we do this for the heart. We don't do this for the funds. And it was funny because literally, like the headaches got worse, worse, worse. So I did the unthinkable in my family. I went to the doctor because for them, they're just like just Vicks.
Right.
I'm like, that's not gonna work. So I went, and he's like, no, you're fine. Just take some Motrin, and in 2 weeks, we'll check up on you. I'm like, okay. Maybe 4 days in, it got worse. Like I went to Princeton for the kids. We worked. Coach did that. I'm on the train back from Princeton, New Jersey, and I'm like, no. This feels bad. So I'm like helping coordinate middle school teams, and then it got so bad one day. I'm like, I'm just gonna go in again. They wouldn't see me, so I went to the emergency room because I'm like, you're gonna at least give me something before I leave. And who knows? And maybe it's in my head, but it didn't seem like it was. So the nurse at the time there, she's like, I don't see anything. And I'm like, ma'am, I don't believe you, and I know you're way more qualified than I am, but I just don't think something's off. And she's like, well, we could do a CT scan and see what what can happen. And I'm like, okay, great, because like that'll rule it off. I mean, I think that's like the most intense thing for medicals. I don't know, but I'm like, sure. So she takes a CT scan of me, and afterwards she comes back and she's like, hey, I need to have a conversation with you. And I'm like, okay, fine. Do I have to take more Motrin? Like, what do I have to do? And she tells me, you have a brain tumor. And I'm like, okay, this is how you know, Ernest, how oblivious I am. Because I'm just like, okay, like, so how does that work? Like, what do you take for that? Like, what do you take? Like, is it in gummy form? And she's she's just like, yeah, no, we it's a cancer. Like, it's a cancer. It's not spreading, but it's essentially swallowing up your brain. Like, it's very big. and we need to operate on it immediately. And I'm like, well, I got work in the morning, like, so can't I just do it in the weekend or something? And she's just like, no, we have to do it now. And I'm like, okay, so I guess I'll tell my boss that I'm going to be a little late. And she's like, I don't think you're understanding. Like, this is something big, and if we don't take care of it in the next week, you will die. She said that, and again, I'm 23 at this point. I'm like, she said that, and I'm like, she said that, and I'm like, okay, die, like with a capital D. Like, I don't. What do you mean? Like, it wasn't comprehend. It wasn't making sense to me, and I'm like, okay, um, I guess we'll figure this out. They did an MRI, they did an initial surgery, and they're like, we took a lot of fluid out. We were able to do some like biopsy thing. I wasn't really remembering it, but she's like, okay, so we're gonna do like the actual surgery. My brain, I'm like, this initial thing was not the surgery. Like, are you
Right.
kidding me? Like, you guys had me under for like 5 hours, and now you're telling me that was just like, oh, we're just like, getting liquid. Like, so I'm like, okay, can I just go home? And they're like, nah, you can't. Like, you can't. And we're gonna work on this, and you're gonna see what happens. So I went in for surgery for what I assumed was gonna be an hour, maybe two. Again, I'm an idiot, it seems, because the medical field was just not it. I was just like a lot of like darkness, hallucinations, a lot of things. And I found out at the end of that month that I had gone into a coma mid surgery. I died, and they were trying to bring me back for like 10 minutes. They brought me back, but like function was off, and then the function started working, but like I lost all feeling in all of my limbs. I couldn't move, I couldn't eat, I couldn't talk, I couldn't do anything, and they didn't know if I was ever going to be able to. And then the surgery started getting intense, and they told my family at the time that I had a 62% chance of surviving. Like, it started at like 53, then it went to like 62, but it was basically at that area. And when I came to, and I used the text to speech app because I didn't have any other way to communicate. I was texting my friend. I'm like, oh, I was told I have 62% chance of odds. That's good, right? Because that's more than half. He's just like, you're an idiot. No, that's terrible. If it's under 90, you're dead, Noberto. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. And literally that was Christmas for me. Like, that was Christmas. That happened. I didn't share this previously, but my mother had double kidney failure basically Christmas Eve.
Wow.
So
At the same time?
Yeah, we were both in the same ICU like building. Like, she was like 2 floors above me at the same time. And she's had kidney like issues in the past. So there was a real like practical, like a realistic chance she was going to go. And mind you, right after I essentially left, and like, it was like, and for me, I felt bad because my sister is 13 years younger than me. I do the joke because my son is also 13 years younger than her, so it's a weird, but that's me, 23. So imagine this girl's 10 on Christmas, wants to be with her family, and literally her mother and her brother are not there. Her other brother is just like in such a disarray mentally. He doesn't know what to do, so he just goes with my dad. My parents aren't together, but my father was literally at my side in the hospital room daily because he didn't know what to do. Like, his firstborn was about to out, and even like his ex-wife it was like a whole thing. So in that process, it was a lot of, okay, what am I gonna do? And the thing about why I brought up the story with the musicals and the kids is because they all pulled up to the hospital. Like, first of all, I don't know how they found me, but like, they literally like got to the hospital, got shirts, were upset. One of them like, oh, nah, bleep, you better get back up. No, bro, like, you have to come to practice. Like, I'm like, guys, I'm not in a tomb. Like, it's just, well, I couldn't say that because I can't speak. But like, I'm like, maybe if I text it, but also I'm kind of blind. It was bad. But like, I saw emotions, frustrations, uncertainty, And the problem is that I've usually been like the totem, the mind, like the faith guy. So when the faith guy can't talk to you, it really is hard. And for my family, my mother and I are the two that usually have like the most faith. So when we're both essentially out of commission, it was like, we don't know how this is going to be. We don't know what 2019 is going to look like. I'm here New Year's, and I'm like, I'm just looking out the window of like a hospital in the Bronx as the clock strikes 12 on New Year's. And my mother's thankfully able to like she barely makes it to where she can go home a couple hours before New Year's. So, and she uses her first minutes of freedom to come make sure that her son is gonna be fine. So a lot of conversations, a lot of things, and people kept talking to me about, what do you do with faith? What do you do when all of this stuff is happening? Because we don't know. We know you're a big Jesus person. And I'm like, yes, and I fully believe it's going to work out no matter what happens. And for me, when I talk about, the whole mindset of doing it scared, the thing is rooted in, you don't know if you have tomorrow. You don't know if tomorrow or the next hour is your last hour. So what are you doing? I've been around people that have gotten shot in the face. I've been around people that have literally like died. Like somebody got lit on fire by having the guy douse him with gasoline, stab him, and set him on fire with a lighter. That happened like that. And in my brain, his name is Wilbur. I was like, you graduated 2 months ago. And you had a dispute with some dude that was nuts enough to do that? Like, literally, 4 of my classmates died the year of 2019. And this is me at not even 24 yet. So I'm here like, okay, this is all happening. And people are asking me, like, what do you do? And mind you, I'm here in a cane with almost no voice. Because my voice did come back eventually. But, like, I'm still learning how to talk again. And I'm just like, You can only control you. With all my kids, nah, this sucks ass, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, you can only control you. Like, what's actually your deal? Like, what are you actually doing? Because my thing is, if you're not willing to do it anyway, I do not care that you didn't get your favorite bacon, egg, and cheese. I do not care that your brother pissed you off. I do not care about any of these things. And it's not because I'm heartless. I'm intentional. There's no way you're going to tell me that everyone's going through what they're going through. You have the power to literally change your situation or make it better based on mindset, and you're not doing it. So I'm like, nah, you got to do it scared. What does scared mean? When I'm having these kids now that I became like a public speaker, like a public speaking teacher, speech and debate and all that stuff in the classroom, a lot of people, like they inspired me to do education because I'm like, okay, I will teach you something. But the thing is, I have to do it my way. My way is not, I'm not going to give you cookie cutter curriculums. I'm going to tell you straight up, bro, that is horrible. And we need to fix it. Now, what does fixing mean? We have to go through this and this. I can give you the frameworks. I can give you Bloom's taxonomy. That's not hard. My problem is from a hood perspective. Like, I'm from Highbridge. From a hood perspective, code switching, as young black men, as young Dominicans, as people in like a low socioeconomic, what are you doing that's making me think you have a just about as good of a shot as a privileged white kid in any area? And when it comes to doing this, public speaking for me is the height of it. Me finding my voice through theater, me finding my voice through talking with these kids and working with them, me finding my voice after I had no voice. That was so important to me. So anytime I have a kid that's like, I'm scared, I don't know if I should do it. And I'm like, I mean, I told you to do it. I don't want to. I didn't ask you if you wanted to do it. Like, get up. Like, and the problem is they can't say I'm mean. Like, they're just like I'm somehow the favorite, even though I'm direct with them. But I'm like, nah, bro, because my thing is, if you could only find out what you're capable of, what your purpose is, what is in you, and I've seen it, then I know you're going to be great. And I've seen kids, 6th grade, 7th grade. My sister was one of the shyest, quietest people on the planet. She's a national finalist. She has companies. She's signed by agents. Disney was on her doorstep like a year ago, and I'm like, this is what happens with kids that have certain developmental, whatever you want to throw at it. IEPs, autism, you have a stuttering issue. I don't care, because I know what you're capable of. I know it for a fact. I should not be alive. There's no way. And yet God just pops off.
Yeah.
God just pops off. So I'm just like, if I can give any insight into making sure that you guys like move with power, so you guys can be people that do it scared, and you can be people that have a champion mindset, like a power mindset, then that'll be good for me. And I mean that so wholeheartedly. And it's rooted in my being. You will succeed. You will go to college. It will be a full ride. Your parents, who have been on food stamps and EBT and cash assistance for the last couple of years, will not pay a cent for you to go to the top school. Promise you. And that happened. I had a kid that got a $360,000 scholarship to go to USC. This girl, when I tell you her parents, like full blown, just like came to me, and I was so happy because I remember when they had a hard time buying meat at the store, at like a Stop and Shop. And again, this is just what it is. I know that like typically teachers and educators, like they're just like, when the school day is done, it's done. Sometimes in our line of work, that's not the case. Sometimes you're gonna get that kid that's like emotionally wrecked at 9, 10 p.m. But you're the only person that they want to talk to.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, okay, or like in the middle of school, like you have your off period. And I realize I hide sometimes, because I know the kids just like, ooh, we're gonna skip class and be with it. No, leave me alone. But I have had kids that have literally been like, hey, I don't know what to do, and I'm gonna blow up. So I usually text the social work team. I'm like, hey, just a heads up of this is happening, but I have them just because I know they're only gonna open up with me or like certain teachers in the building. So, but the thing about it is, that's the whole person. That is the whole person. So you have to be mindful of the whole person. And part of doing it scared is, hey, being able to vent when you don't think that you can trust people. Like, it's so encompassing, Ern, that I want to make sure that people understand that they're seen, that they're heard, they're loved, they're respected, and on top of that, they have the capacity to do phenomenal things. I don't need you to relegate yourself to TJ Maxx, unless you love TJ Maxx. But like, it should be that, like, bro, like, I have dreams, do them, and we will make it happen. Even if it's not me, if I'm just a guy, yay. But like, you know better than to just be like, I'm done, I'm finished, because I was not, and I know for damn sure I cannot allow someone to settle for mediocrity just simply because they think there's no other way.
Yeah. I love it, man. And I'm listening to you. And I know as speakers, we talk about our background and we talk about the things that we've been through. But I'm listening to you tell your story, and I'm just and I've heard it before, right? Most of it, and I'm like, oh, it's still captivating. So and with you being a speech teacher and talking to the kids, how important is it for them to learn not only to use their voice but to tell their story, and how much of the power of storytelling is it, that makes such a difference in them. So like you said, you had a student to get, that scholarship, which is pretty amazing, but I'm sure there was some of those same principles that you had to teach her, as far as to be able to tell her story. So how important is it, how important has it been for you, to share your story and to help you overcome that, you're able to teach that to the kids, where now they're able to use their experiences to still be able to, turn them into a positive outcome also.
Well, I'm a firm believer that your story is important even if you don't think it is. And anything. I mean, I've had kids that like they're mad at their parents, so like, you know, they just decided to, in rebellion, not eat breakfast. Which again, for a kid, a teenager that's growing, you just walk into second, third period, you're already angry. And you're thinking, this teacher's pissing me off. It's like, no, you didn't eat a sandwich. Like this is a lot of things. So those stories for me, I'm like, okay, let's tell them. Let's talk about it. You guys are people that binge stories. TikToks are, like these short stories,
Mhm.
cartoons, YouTube videos. People have stories, they have narratives, they have hooks, they have things that really help, like they really connect. So for me, one of the things that I use is something called Mad Lib, which is I'm going to give you like a prompt or a first sentence. And from there, we're off to the races. Like if I write on the board, I can't believe you blank, it's over. Like it doesn't even, and with hood kids, they're like, I can't believe you stole my girl. Like immediately they just start running in. Um, but I'm like, there has to be truth to that. Like, obviously some of this is just for fun, but also there's like, okay, what is the truth and what is your structure? And by me being able to tell them my story, and some of them are like shook because they're like, but you're such a holly jolly person. I'm like, that doesn't mean that I didn't go through some things.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
my thing is for you, what do you go through? What happens? There's been times where I'm like, okay, if you are in a single parent household, raise your hand. If you have been judged because of the way that you speak, raise your hand. If you have been followed by the cops unjustly, raise your hand. If you haven't been able to afford Wendy's, raise your hand. Then we got to talk about it. And in
Mhm.
acting and speaking, what does it mean for you to be able to tell that story with beats, with pauses, with emotions, holding a moment, like being able to look at people in the eyes, which kids just cannot do. They just eye contact is like forbidden for them. Like it's so much so I literally just like canceled a lesson one day and just made them stare at each other for like 3 hours, like for 3 minutes, and then they no, I did that because I'm like, you do not do well with looking at each other and speaking. And the thing about it is, certain things, like for example, provocative statements. And I always say this for these teenagers. They're like, ew. I'm like, provocative statements are not sexual and they're not innuendoous. Like they're just simply, what is something that's going to provoke you to act? There was this girl, and I literally, I talk about stories. I talk about the fact that they need to like really speak. And she's like, Mister, I don't really have anything to say. I don't have anything going on in my life. I'm like, okay, so I went to her, and she's like, I don't have a prompt to give, because the way that the mirror exercise works is they stare at each other for a minute, and then they keep saying the same phrase back and forth, and then they stare at each other for a minute. Should be simple. These kids, they go crazy. So the statement, she didn't know what to say. I'm like, your man looks good. Context: this girl loves her boyfriend to death. Romeo and Juliet, teenagers.
Right.
So I did that, and she's like, "Your man looks good." The other girl says that she 0 to 100 anger, just like, "Who the you talking to?" So she did this whole thing, and I'm like, "Girl, that's my point. You had that in you. You had that story in you. Now, I'm not saying you're gonna like knock her head off, but like,
Mhm.
you need to be able to tell that. How did you guys meet? What was the first thing that he did that made you realize, wow, he's my partner for now, or forever, whatever in your head. But like,
Mhm.
what does this mean? When has he pissed you off? When has he made you smile? When has he made you sad? When has he made you jealous? Like, you have to be able to do all that. And we're just talking about your relationship.
Right.
So my thing is like, whenever I'm teaching, they think we're gonna get to like certain modules with other people, and I'm like, I can cover a whole bunch of that stuff. Like we have a year, we have the year. It's just, but I'm like, how are you guys going to be good storytellers if you don't open up, if you don't speak and you don't perform? And the thing that I use is I have a framework, and it's called power. Like there's pitch. I've talked it with them, and it was pitch, tone, volume, rhythm, accent. So for them, the breakdown is it's pitch, which is okay. How are you in the way that you speak? Because you need to be mindful of that. Like if you're speaking a certain way and your voice is cracking, you're not really confident about what you want to say. It's just
Mhm.
kind of like you're speaking, but like if you're like, get out of my room, but like your voice is flickering, I don't believe you're not going to do that with power. The next thing would be like ownership, which is the same thing as tone. It's like, understand that you have to own the fact that if you woke up on the actual wrong side of the bed, the first person that catches your fire, that catches your anger, frustration, because maybe you didn't eat a bacon, egg, and cheese and you missed the bus and it's raining, and then you get there, and then like the principal meets you at the front and they're like, how are you? And you're like you're angry. And the principal, if this is a first impression, is going to think, okay, you are a bad person. You are upsetting all these black kids, whatever is in their heads. But the thing about it is, okay, You have to own the fact that you decide how people experience you for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, maybe you need to breathe, smile, and say, hey, first impressions, like it's important. So there's that. There's wavelength, which is the same thing as a volume. Are you loud when you don't need to be? Are you so quiet that when you're in front of people and you're introducing yourself, you sound like a little like hamster? Like it's just like there have been many people, my name is, and I'm like, I have literally heard you in like the courtyard during recess.
Right,
You're
right.
you're lying to me. I literally said that to them, and I'm like, what? You stalker? I'm like, I'm literally supervising you. What are you talking about? Like me and like 7 other adults. We know you're not quiet. So you have to use the appropriate wavelength for the situation. Do I think you need to yell down the hall? No. Do I think you need to be quiet during like a lecture hall? No. Like there's an appropriate time. The other thing is energy. Like when we're talking about, which is essentially rhythm, there's a beat. Again, for us as hip hop heads or people with like Latin music, like there's a certain beat. You can't speed run your way in the way you're talking.
Mm.
Like you got to take a moment, take a pause. Sometimes you guys are reading so much and you just want to sit down because Mr. Troncoso told you to get up and say your 1 minute monologue or talk about your story. So you're speaking so fast or you're quiet and you're speaking so slowly. And it's just like, dude, let's worry about your appropriate oration. And then the last thing is resonance, which is your accent. Like I know accent resonance is really just how do you resonate with people? When you're speaking, you know, and you sound misogynistic, you're a guy. You have to understand you're a guy. So automatically, all the girls, if you're saying some things that are kind of wild, they're gonna be like, or if you're like bashing a teacher, the other teachers aren't gonna be like, yes, we agree. Like,
Right.
so all of that stuff, the kids think that it's trivial, but I'm like, no, no, this is how you exercise your power. This is how you exercise what it means to be a powerful storyteller, to be a champion. To do it scared, you have to do it powerfully. And in order for you to do it powerfully, you need to breathe first and allow yourself to just talk authentically. And going back to the girl, it's like, I'm like, Layla, you need to like relax. Like, why is this the case? And why do I need to piss you off in order to get like the actual story out of you? So with these kids, like it is being able to allow them to tell the story by letting them know, one, this is a safe space. Two, I want all the smoke. I want you to absolutely lose your mind. It is perfectly fine. You are safe here. What I will not accept is you not trying. What I will not accept
Mhm.
is you opting out. What I will not accept is you thinking that you can play me. You don't want this. Like, please, it's not that deep. Explain to me what it is because we can figure things out when you're transparent. We can always work with honesty. I cannot work if you're hiding things because then you blow up randomly. And you know how hood kids, they get into like fights and then all kids, they just like fight and all that stuff. How did this happen? They were friends yesterday. I'm like, I saw it. I saw it in their body movements. I saw it in their gestures. I saw it with like if you have like hunched shoulders and like you're like looking at the ground, you're like pouting, and then it's because they took your Takis in the morning during like, the check-in. I already know why you're mad. So when you get to me, I already know. I'm like, hey, good morning. Give me a sour face. I'm like, hey, good morning. Do you want me to buy you Takis after school? My sister goes to the school. I'll deliver it to her or something. But again, it's learning every single kid. And when the kid feels seen, they feel known, they feel loved, they feel heard, then it's like, okay, now I want you to tell your story. I mean, we're adults, so it's a little easier for us to be expressive in that way, but everyone has trauma. So how can you turn trauma into testimony? The only way to do it is by just talking. And I mean, public speaking is the number one fear in America. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you got to do something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I love it that you're teaching them to use their voices early, right? Because that's one skill that you got to take everywhere you go. Once you get out of high school, you got to get a job. You got to be able to represent yourself correctly.
Yeah.
If you get into a position of leadership, you got to be able to express yourself correctly. In your relationships, you have to be able to express yourself correctly. And so, yeah, so by you working with them to teaching them, how to use their voices and tell their stories, which is their truth. And I like one of the things you said about being, talking about your truth. One of the things I always say is it's easier to deal with truth because truth don't change, but lies always do. You know what I mean? And so it's like, why, if you're speaking your truth and being able to represent yourself correctly, you can express yourself that way, where your story, your truth, your values that you've learned from your experiences and being able to express that to an audience. I think that's amazing, and especially as high school kids, because I didn't do that. I actually was the quiet kid, and I always tell people, like, now, they see what I do as a speaker, they see me on the podcast and things, and it's like, what, you quiet? Like, I'm actually still an introvert. You know what I mean? I'm still an introvert. I'm still quiet. But when I get behind the mic or I get on the stage, then it's time to show up. And I kind of live for that part of it. But if you catch me once I get off the stage, I'm actually still quiet. I'll be like in a corner somewhere, just like chilling by myself. You know what I mean? And so, but to be able to express yourself, I didn't really express myself verbally a lot during high school. I didn't start until I became an adult. But by you teaching these kids to be able to use their voices early, you actually giving them a head start on life, and a head start on beginning to bring their dreams to reality, because they can speak it. They can speak what their dreams are. They can speak what their thoughts are. They can speak, their the things that they have in mind, like what do I want my life to look like? Once you're able to verbally express that to yourself first, but then also to other people, then you increase the chances of it coming to be. You increase the chances of you being able to bring it through, to make it happen. So last thing I want to talk about before we kind of get out of here is in that space of having them tell their story and having them stand up and tell their truth. There also has to be some creativity in that too, to be able to not only tell your story, but tell your story in a way that it connects with others. Tell your story in a way that it contacts or connects with the emotions of other people. Right? You talked about pitch, you talked about range. You know what I mean? You talked about being able to tell your story in different ways. So when we're talking about telling that story and teaching the kids how to tell their stories, how much of the creativity you know that they need do they find within themselves? Or how is it that you kind of help them bring out the creativity that's within them, in order for them to be able to express themselves in a way that it connects with the audience?
I'm so glad you said that, because this is actually one of my favorite things to do with them. Like whenever I'm like working with kids, and again, doesn't matter. I've worked with kids at Stanford University. I've worked with kids in like the inner city schools here in New York. It's the same thing, and it's kind of the what I like to call like the woulda, shoulda, coulda. And the thing about it is they have their stories. That is a constant. That is the truth. But if like if only I could have like replayed the conversation, like what would have been I been able to say? Like what could I have done? Ooh, she caught me on a bad day. She would have like I've seen so many kids that I have expressed that. So my thing is like, okay, let's play that. Let's actually use that. I want you to document it. I want you to write it down. We write the vision and we make it plain so that those that read it run with it. So if if I want you to write down your story of what should have happened, what could have happened, what would have happened if X, Y, and Z happened, except you don't get to perform it. Someone else does. So immediately these kids just have way too much fun. And I mean, I've seen some of like the ninth grade boys just like getting like the sheet of like an 11th grade girl, and they're just like, what am I supposed to do with this? And I'm like, you guys have 30 seconds to prepare. What the fuck? Like it just becomes a whole thing, and it's fun. But the thing about it is that's where the creativity comes in. You don't know who your actors are gonna be. You do not know If you're the actor, what story you're gonna get. All you can do is show up as your truest self and perform. So their creativity is in okay, they have their real life narratives, their stories. What could they do to change it? If things went south, what would they do? If things could have been better, what could they actually do? And they have to have authentic things about that. They have to have like, okay, what would it look like for you to not be struggling at home? We've had those deep conversations, and we've also been able to kind of reenact what those things can be. Sometimes it's childish because again, they're 14, 15, 16, 17, but it allows them, it's kind of cathartic in a way. It allows them to be able to express, okay, what am I doing my current moment, and what can I, how can I get to this next level? And also when it comes to being able to do like the most outlandish things, like, oh my gosh, if my man ever cheated on me, well then God, like they're able to play with both of those things. So that's where creativity is very important for me, because after seeing that, one is a good laugh, which is why I just have fun doing what I do. But also, I'm like, okay, great, we're done here. Class is over. Homework tonight. I want you to rewrite the story, but we're gonna take it from the perspective of what if you were that kid? And the thing about it is, they're friends. So I want to know what you think she would have done if she was you. And it just allows them to have the creativity because it's still rooted in their story. It's still rooted in their truth. They just get to remix it. And the power that comes from it, that champion mindset that comes from it, is just simply, okay, are you like an expert at being able to craft your story in such a way where you can remix your story so many times? The root is still strong, but the fruit that you have from being able to just duplicate and change is just so great. So it's just great to see them being able to do that. Even the adults, whenever I've done like PDs for like any like leaders, educators, the adults that think that they're, it's just, oh my, I'm not me, I'm an adult. I'm like, oh, you guys are so cute, even though you're 40 years old. Like you're way older than me. But I'm like, let's just talk about it. Like, what did your dog do today? Your dog, you said it is your child. Okay, what if your dog picked a fight with another dog just randomly at Planet Fitness and then just run off with that? I think being able to have reality as your foundation and then use a lot of what if scenarios, fill in the blanks, it allows your imagination and your creativity to just fly. And that way, it just makes you much better at expressing your actual story because you have a whole bunch of woulda, shoulda, couldas in your head as it is. So telling the actual thing, like you said, the truth is the truth. You can't alter it. So when you're able to tell it more authentically, knowing every other thing, it just makes it good.
Yeah. I love that, man. I love that. It sounds just, it sounds like a class that I would like to take. You know what I mean? I love it, man. Noberto, I really appreciate you coming on, man, and sharing your story first of all. Then also sharing the work that you do with these kids, and I really appreciate you coming through. I want you to leave us with a word of advice, a word of inspiration, however you feel, and also leave us with your social media handles and things of that nature, where we can find you, to follow you, find you, to work with you. I know also that you are a speaker, so even being able to book you to come out to be a speaker, or even facilitate some of these workshops that you do, at in a school or organization. So I would like you to do that. I'll give you a couple seconds to think about that. To my listeners, I want to say thank you guys again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Make sure you guys are checking us out, or checking me out, should I say, at my website, dealhealfulfill.org. Our new website actually is out, and I always keep forgetting to to do a post about it. But my new website, my new speaker's website, is ernestjamesspeakslife.com. You can see it right there on the ticker on the bottom, which is also the rest of our other websites and things. So make sure you guys go check me out at ernestjamesspeakslife.com. Again, that's ernestjamesspeakslife.com. Or go to our dealhealfulfill.org website, because our mission, my mission, is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problem, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. So make sure you guys are checking us out at that website. Also, make sure you guys go to ebooksbyejames.com dealtoheal.com in order to check out some of the ebooks that we have available. I know we talked about the Start Your Podcast Now ebook, which is available there, but there are also other ebooks on our sister podcast, which is the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. One of the ebooks that we discuss on that podcast is the ebook that I wrote called The Core Four, which is the 4 core values that every daughter should get from her father. So you can also, guys, can find that at ebooks by ejames.com. So make sure you guys are going there and checking us out and purchasing our ebooks. Also, check out our inspirational t-shirt line at deal2healtees.com. That's deal, the number 2, healtees.com. Make sure you guys are checking us out, our inspirational t-shirts, as well as our new podcast merch, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos on it. There's one for Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, as well as the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. You can find all of our t-shirts at deal, the number 2, healtees.com. Make sure you guys are going there. Last and but not least, over the last couple of years, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every other month talking about everything surrounding forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, even forgiveness of the world. We have this free virtual workshop. The workshop is absolutely free, but the information is priceless. Make sure you guys go to forgivenessmission.com in order to sign up for our next free virtual workshop. Whenever you're watching this, either one just ended or there's one coming up, but you can again go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for the forgiveness workshop, or you guys can go to Eventbrite and look up Forgiveness Workshop held by the Forgiveness Mission. Make sure you guys go and check us out and support us there. Noberto, once again, I want to say thank you so very much for being on, for sharing your story and your expertise. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
No, of course. To everybody watching, again, tomorrow is not promised. That is not a colloquialism. That is not a comment. That is a fact. So what are you doing to make sure that you are promising yourself to do your best? You have to do it scared in order to do it successfully. And I would say, for those of you that are interested in talking to me, again, you can find me on troncosoventures.com, as well as finding me on YouTube under Noberto Troncoso Official. I would love to talk to you. We can do this. And stop taking yourself so seriously. I'm looking at you in the camera. Stop taking yourself so seriously. Do your best. Speak your truth. Be you. You got this.
All right. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Tees. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.